Hello, welcome to Code Mindspace, where we teach Python, data analytics, and machine learning. Yeah, and today we'll be looking at data structure. And in Python programming language, we have different data structures, and we'll be looking at four of it, which we have tuple, we have list, we have dictionary, we have set. Now we'll be treating these according to the order in which I've mentioned it. Okay, I say tuple, list, dictionary, and set. I know this may sound a bit strange to you if you are just beginning with Python, and if you just stumbled on this video and you have never done Python before, please you can refer to my previous video where I started the introduction of Python. Okay, now I'll drop the link and down below the comment section and or the description. You check it there. Okay, now to begin with, I will try as much as possible to make you understand, to make it more clearer to you. I assure you that at the end of this course, you will gain proficiency in data science using Python. So beginning with, we'll start with tuple. Now, what are actually tuples? Please, the tuple is T-U-P-L-E. Now, what is tuple? Tuple is a one-dimensional. Now, you have to grab every bit of word I say here. Tuple is a one-dimensional, immutable, ordered sequence of items which can be of mixed data types. Now, I'll start by explaining in a bit what this means before we go into the coding, just to give you a better understanding of what we are trying to communicate. Now, a tuple is one-dimensional, means that it is structured in a linear form. Okay, when we talk about one-dimensional in programming or in Python in this case, we'll talk about is in a linear form. When we talk about two-dimension, that is n, 2, 3, n dimensions, we'll talk about layers having different axes. Okay, so now we say it's a one-dimensional. Now let's start by creating our first tuple. Let's comment create a tuple. Now this is how to create comment. Now if you're just watching this video from here, this is how to create comment. Okay, you start by putting the hashtag, then giving it a space that you say write whatever you want to write. Now this code written here is not executable. Python doesn't capture this, it doesn't execute this code. It's for readability, for humans to understand. When people see your code, they can actually know what you are actually doing on a particular line. Okay, so I think I'll start by creating my first. Okay, now I talked about variable names in our previous video. Please, you can make reference to it. Variable names are actually placeholders that holds values. Okay, they are memory locations of values. Now I'll start by writing a variable name first, tuple. Now variable names can be actually anything. You can give a variable name to be anything, but there are rules that are guiding variable names. Okay, and one of it that we said in our last my previous video is one, variable names doesn't start with numbers. Okay, all right, they can start with underscore. They can also, now they don't have spaces in between. Now you cannot have a space like this to be your variable name. Okay, variable names are either linked this way using an underscore, or maybe in a better format, as if you're having two words, two different meaningful words. What you have to do is, maybe I can, as I'm saying first tuple, I will make these capital letter T, or sorry, then I'll make this capital letter T to show you that these are two different words. Okay, so but in this case I want to use the underscore. Okay, first tuple. Now you can name it whatever, you can give it your name, whatever. It's just like it's a name that's representing a container. Like you're a person, you have a name. When you are being called upon, you know this is you. So we are giving the values are going to be writing, and we're giving them a name. So Now I will be saying that now tuples, there's something about tuples. Tuples now are data structures in programming, in Python, especially in Python. We take note of them, we differentiate them with the different brackets or parentheses. Now for tuple, we use this curved bracket. Okay, now remember, one, we use the curved bracket for tuples. Okay, now we say tuples are immutable. I'll explain that later. Or that sequence of items. Now we'll talk about items. Somebody that is new to programming, you'll be saying, are we talking about kitchen utensils, or what are we talking about? Are we talking about food items? No. Now in programming, whenever you have things, or maybe data types in a container, we call them items. Okay, now this is it. Now we have if you are confused about data types, you can refer to our last videos. Okay, now we have okay, let's say 12 comma. Okay, now there's another thing you have to note. The items in the container, inside the coil, inside the bracket, are always separated by a comma sign. Okay, now 12 is an item. Okay, then we have this is a string. Whenever I want to write characters joined together to form words, you write it as a string. Okay, so you can see strings are always words that are written and enclosed in quotation mark. Okay, so now Jack is an item. Okay, then we have let's say 45.7 is an item. So whatever you put inside the container is an item. So we have another, let's give another string, let's say new. Okay, an item. Let's give a comma again, and let's put this, let's say 3,2. Now this is an item, no minding it is enclosed. There are two numbers inside. This is a tuple. Okay, a tuple in a tuple, so it's a one single item. So we separate it, don't be confused. You can also use the curve bracket, I mean the double quotes and the single quotes. Okay, now we can use single quote or double quote. They still mean the same thing, but for effective use and for someone to see your code and say, yeah, this person knows what he or she is doing, you can just do it in a uniform manner by enclosing all the string using the same quote. Now here we have created a tuple. Now it has not been created on this file unless you run it. Now there are two ways to run it. You can run here using this button, and you can also run using shift enter. Okay, until you run it, Python has not identified, or Jupyter Notebook has not identified that you have a variable name called first tuple. So if I run it, you can see, look at this corner, it didn't throw us an error. It's closer to this Python 3 IP kernel. You see, when it runs, it's empty. Okay, means that it's successful. But if it is not successful, it will throw an error. Okay, so be mindful when you are typing this. Make sure you separate the different items with comma. Okay, and we don't have a specific number of items that has to be in a tuple. Okay, you can replace this with any other things. Okay, it must not be in this order. Okay, so all right, let's move further. Now if we want to display, let me say display or output, if I want to display or output this, what do I do? Now I told you this is just a comment. So display or output or view tuple, for us to view what we have created. Okay, so don't be confused even if you are new to programming. So let's get this. So what if I want to call, I've created, like now you were giving birth to, mainly you were giving birth to, you had to be given a name for identity. So when I created this tuple here, I had to give it a name, which is the variable name. It is the name. Anytime you call this name, since I created it and ran it, Python know I've created something like this. This name, anytime you call this name, it will bring out these things in this container. Okay, so now this is exactly how it is in the real life scenario, where if I call your name, because you have been given that name, you now will answer, you will respond to your name. So now I want to call this thing. I've this variable name I've already created. So if I run it, I'm using the shift enter, or you can run it using this run button by clicking it once. So you can see that it has been outputted. Okay, these are what we have. All right, now notice that anytime it is having this blue sign here, this blue color at the left hand side of your cell. Now before we move further, notice that every line you see here, they are called cells. Okay, so you can notice in this cell that this cell is having a blue line here, so it is in a command mode. So whenever you want to start typing on any cell, you just tap inside the box or just press enter. All right, it will be open for you. So now let's move further. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to access. We're going to see how we can access the data in that tuple, each data in that tuple. Okay, let me comment access the data. Access the data at let's say index. Okay, index values, at index value. Okay, now there's something we'll do. You see this thing we have created here. Yeah, now each of them has in a tuple, we start counting from 0. Each of them have an index number. Okay, and this index number starts from 0. In programming, especially Python, we start counting from 0. We don't do the normal counting 1 2 3, because we programmers, we are not like the ordinary world. Okay, so our counting starts from 0. So automatically this 12 is 0, this thing is 1, this one is having an index number of 2 3, this entire one 4, because this 3 comma 2 is 1. Okay, so this other one is 5. All right, so now if we can only access, okay, or get a particular index number by a particular item by the index number. It's just like in a real life scenario. Maybe you go to JAM office, for those of us that are in Nigeria that writes JAM. Okay, you go to JAM office or whatever examination center or exam that you have written, and you say, okay, please, I need my information, just my information, and you see they get it for you, just your own. Okay, all right, this is how this also works. Now if you want to access a particular item, you access it by the index number. Now I believe when you go to the JAM office, you want to access your name, there's an identity you have. It's either your reg number or whatever identity of maybe a serial number or whatever. So in this case, tuples have their index number assigned to them automatically as they were created. So each item has an index number and it is followed in a sequence. This is consecutive, like 0 1 2 3 4 5, like that. Okay, so if I want to access Jack, what I'll do is, whenever you want to access any item in a tuple, you just say, you write the variable name first. So my variable name that is holding the container of the item I want to access is first tuple. So I'm writing it exactly the way I define it here, first tuple. Python is case sensitive. If you maybe change this T to capital letter T, it will throw you an error because it's not the same thing with this. Just take, for instance, my name is Gabriel, okay, and you say Gabru. I may not know I'm the one you're talking to, except I want to concur to what you are saying. Okay, so you must make sure that the way you define it, wrote it when creating it, is the same way you are writing it when accessing it. So there's a bracket will attach to the variable name when accessing. And I said in this case we are accessing by their index number. Okay, so this is the bracket. Always attach the bracket to the variable name like this. This is a square bracket. Okay, it's always the bracket used for accessing things in the container. So maybe I want to access this jack that is here. So what is the index number of jack? Starting with, you count this 12 as 1, as 0, sorry, then jack 1. So if I want to access jack, that means I have to write the index number 1 here. And if I run it, if I can come here and run it, okay, you can see jack is being outputted. It's a string. That's why it's still coming with the quotation mark. Okay, so what we'll do, you can try others. Maybe we can still try something else. You can try this is first tuple. Always call your variable name if you still want to access things in that particular container or tuple. Now I want to access let's say test. Okay, test is, let's count. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. So let me see. I'll say 5. Let me run it. You can see it's having text. Okay, so whatever I want to access, if I can still remove this and access this tuple that is inside this tuple, 3, 2. So I think it's having an index number of 4. You can count it so you can see it. So this is how to access. Now the next thing we have to do is we are going to prove. You can see when I say it is one dimensional, I told you it's in a linear form. Okay, so and the next thing while we're defining what tuple is, the next thing we said was they are immutable. When we talk about immutable, it means they cannot be modified. So let's try to modify a tuple and see if truly the quality of it cannot be modified. Now let's see. Okay, let's comment on it. Try to modify the tuple. Okay, now these are comments. Make sure you put the hashtag. Okay, put it correctly. So let me try to modify the tuple. Let me say first tuple. Now the way to change a particular thing in a tuple, in a container, is we'll try to use, let me say, use the square bracket. Let me say I want to change this jack to mark. Okay, then I know the index number of jack is 1. Okay, and anytime you call this thing, jack comes out. So I want to change it for it to be mark. Let me see whether it will work, because one of the qualities of a tuple is you cannot modify. So let me say mark. We say tuples are immutable. So let's see if it throws us an error. That means we are correct that a tuple is immutable and cannot be modified. So let's see. If I run this, you see this. Okay, all right, it's giving us an error which shows that tuples are immutable. Okay, tuple is immutable. So now the next thing we're going to do is to see how we can access okay, we've talked about accessing tuples. Okay, you can go ahead to use okay, let's try something. Let me write accessing tuples. Okay, so I want to make this a heading. Okay, what I'll do is I write a comment. Make sure you put the hashtag, give a space, write whatever you want to write as a comment, then come to this place where there's code. You see the drop down, come to markdown, click markdown. You see it changes to this bold blue color. Then you press run. You can press the run here, but I'm using shift enter. Okay, you can see it's bold. You can take the video back to see how I did it correctly. All right, now the next thing we're going to do we've already created a tuple. So there are different ways to access a tuple. I can access more of it. I can use can access tuple having the index number 2. If I run it, you can see for 5.7. That's the position of, let's go up. I think 45.7 is having an index number of 2, 0, 1, 2. So that's it. So you can see it. Then we can also do some accessing also in a negative way. We can access using the negative index. We have seen that we can use the positive index. Now when you want to access a tuple, let me output, sorry, let me view it here again so that we will not be scrolling up all the time. Okay, let's see. Now if I want to start accessing, I can also use negative numbers attached. If you want to come from behind, this text is having an index number of -1, this one -2, this -3, this -4, this -5, this -6, like that. Okay, to the end. So if I can access from behind, okay, so I'll just write the variable name. I told you variable name, you can be anything. You must not use my variable name, but for the study purpose, just follow suit. Okay, so this square bracket is always the bracket used for accessing. I've told you before. So you just, let me say I want to access test, let me say -1. I told you from behind, if we will put the negative sign, if we want to access them, you can access them from the front using the positive index. Okay, so if I run this, you see test will come out. If I change this, let me change this to 2, you can see like that. So you can see how this thing works. So the next thing we are going to be looking at is slicing. So I also do the heading again, the heading stuff, make it a heading, slicing tuple. Now I think slicing is not a new name for us. We know what slicing means. We have slice of bread and the rest. Okay, now it's like cutting out things that you want and things that you don't want. Okay, so let me make this a heading. I go here, go to markdown. But before I did that, I made sure I wrote it in a comment form. So how do we slice tuple? How do we slice tuple? Now you can slice a range of elements. Now each of these items in a tuple, we can call them elements. Okay, so we can select or slice a range of elements by specifying the start and the end indices. Okay, you know when the numbers are multiple, call them indices. Okay, so now what are we saying in this case? Don't be confused. Now when I'm doing a slicing, I've already created my tuple. You know that. Let me just keep bringing it down here, just for those of you that are always confused. So that's why I'm bringing this down. Okay, it's not as if it's a unique thing. I just want this thing to be displaying so that we'll be seeing it as I explain. So now these are the rules. These are the rules for slicing. Now number 1, you can put it down, you can write it down. You create a subset or the slice of the tuple. Okay, how do you do that? 1, you specify the index of the element. Okay, then you separate them by a column. Now the first index is actually inclusive and the second index is exclusive. Now this is what I mean. Now maybe, okay, this is the variable name that is holding the container, the tuple we are working with, first tuple. So now if I want to get a range, now in this case I don't want to get just one and this thing out like I was doing here. I was getting just one item out or one element, but in this case I want to get a range of element at once. Okay, that is more than one. So what I do, I put my square bracket, which is used for accessing. Now in slicing, you have 2 indices. One is the first, from the first range you want it to come, you want to cut out from, then a column in the middle. Then we have our last index number, which is not exclusive, which is not inclusive. Sorry. Now maybe I want to cut out from this range. I want to have Jack 45.7 and new outputted at the same time, not just having just one element outputted. What I do is I see that Jack is having an index number of what, 1. So I put the 1 here, then I separate it with the column. This column means a range. What is the range? Okay, just like saying from 1 to 6. So what is the range? So we use column for range, for checking the range. Now I want Jack 45.7 and new to come out. So in this case, the next element, the next index number I'm going to put is that will cover the range of what I want. So in this case, we say the last index number is not inclusive. So I will not, since I want from Jack to this new, instead of putting this new index number, I'll have to put the index number of this, because we say the last index number is not inclusive. So I'll put this new is having an index number of 3, then this is having an index number of 4. So I'll put 4, because if I put 3, which is the index number of new, it will not be outputted. So you have to extend the range a little bit, one step forward. Okay, so if I put it, you see new is out. But if I put the index number of new as the end for the range, you see it will not come out. So you have to extend it a little bit. Any range you want to make use of. Maybe I want to get from 12 to this tuple 3,2. Okay, I know that the index number of this test here is the index number of this 3,2, which is I want to get all this. So I will not include the index number of this. I will extend it to this. Okay, so that is why I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll just say 1. Okay, let me copy and paste. Please, it's not advisable for you to copy and paste. It's not a good idea for you. Okay, so I say 1 to I'll say 0, because I want from 12. So I'll say 0 to 5. So if I run it, you see test is not coming out. So what I wanted has come out. Now you can also remove this 0. Once you want from the beginning, the very beginning of the item to come out, you can still leave it without specifying the 0. Python will know you are starting from the beginning. This empty space before the column means from the beginning. Now if you want everything to be outputted, okay, if you are slicing, if you want to slice, you can say this not specifying an index number here, and before the column and after the column means from beginning to end. So I can run this like this. You can see it's still outputted. So don't be confused. Let me undo this, please, before somebody will say it doesn't understand. So let me paste this here and do that. Let me remove the first index and the second. It means from beginning to end. So this is it. Alright, because there's no specified index. So that's how Python reads. Now we are going to so I think this alone should help us know and identify that tuples are one-dimensional, immutable, ordered sequence item that contain different data structures. I said it, they contain different data structures. Now you can see on this tuple we created initially, it contains so many data structures. Please, contains different several data types, sorry, not data structures. You can see 12 is a data structure which is integer. This is a data structure which is string. You can identify them. This is a float. So just like you're having in a class, you're having people from different backgrounds or different ethnic groups. Okay, so the same thing applies here. You know, the real world scenario is applicable to programming as well. So programming is not actually difficult, you understand. So I think this is all for tuple. Now we're going to be looking at list. So okay, hello, welcome to my tutorial class. Okay, we're still continuing on list. We're still talking about data structures. So we'll talk about list. Now we saw how the tuples, what tuples are, and how they can be useful. And looking at it, we saw that tuple has some limitations in a way, and we will be looking at list. I think list complements tuple in a way. So starting with, we'll first of all create a list. Now list also is a data structure. It's also like carrying a container, but in this case list has makes use of a bracket, and this bracket is the square bracket. Now this is what we'll do. Let's first of all create a variable name. Sorry, I'm using first list in this case, so please don't be distracted. Sorry, I forgot to comment on this. I think we have to make comment. So let's say create list, or create a list. I think that will sound better. All right, so we'll create a list by giving it a variable name. You can give it anything, but I'm giving it first list. Please remember our rules for creating a variable name. So in this case, the different data structures in Python have different parentheses or brackets, anyone you want to choose. So in this case, list is always enclosed in this square bracket. Don't forget, tuples are curved, list are square brackets. Now also list also has a definition. You can pen this down for reference purpose. We say a list is a one-dimensional. Now it is one-dimensional. Always remember, that means it's in a linear form, just one axis, okay? And it is mutable. In this case, you can make changes. All right, you can make changes. You find out that sometimes you're filling a form, there are some places where you cannot make changes, or you can make changes. Or you're working for an organization, there are databases where you can make changes to some field and you cannot make changes depending on your authorization. And in this case, list gives us the advantage of making modification, or modifying what we already created. Okay, so and also is they are also in an ordered sequence. Okay, ordered sequence of item, and they contain mixed data type. All right, now let's create a list. Let's put some items into it. Please, these items I'm putting, they are not fixed. You can also customize your own list to anything. You can use your own variable name, but in this case, let's follow up with what I'm doing, do whatever I do, and do with understanding. Okay, now maybe in this case I want to say let me give it, this is a string, so I say mark. There is a data type on its own. Now let's we say contains mixed data type, so I'll be writing different data type here. So let me say this is 100. Mind you, numeric values like integers and float doesn't have the quotation mark enclosing them. So okay, just put that in membranes. So we have a float here, 23.6 comma. We have let's say we have none. These are an attribute. Okay, we have none. 11. Now what this none means is it's an empty, it's empty, it's a null value. Now you can see sometimes people fill form and they don't fill a particular field. It means that it is null, it is empty. So that's what this none means. Okay, means empty. This particular space here is empty. So we've created our list. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run it. Don't forget to run it. Always run it. You can use here, or you press shift enter. Okay, so the intro is an error. So if I want to view it, say view list that was created. So how do we view it? You view, you can answer that. We view by calling the variable name the way you initialize it. Okay, if I run this, you see this is what we've created. So the next thing we do, we'll see if we can be able to modify what we have created. Maybe we saw that there's a mistake, or maybe we want to make changes. All right, so let's see, let's modify a list. Now in this case we say they are mutable, means they can be modified. So let's see if that is true for a list. So we've proved that of tuple to be immutable. You saw it. So now let's see. I want to add new items. Yes, I see adding new items. What we do here is now whenever you want to add a new items, there is a way of adding a new item. Now we use a function, but before using a function, first of all, whatever you are doing on the container, this container, please make sure you always write the variable name first, because that is the container. You are making reference to that variable name because it's the container. Then this square bracket is closer to the variable name you created. It's like I want to access something from this variable name, this container. Okay, so now in this case we are not using it. So if we want to add, we want to modify. So in this case we want to add. There's a function we use called append. The append function. Please, you don't have to cram this. You just have to know what to use at every point in time. You don't need to cram code. You just to know the functions that you apply. You need to apply anytime you want to do a particular thing. Okay, don't think you have to cram a whole lot of, no. So the append function in Python always carries this type of bracket. So, and the way you attach a function to a variable name is by putting the dot. Okay, so append means to add. In your dictionary, check the meaning. Means to add. So in Python, we say we use the append function. Okay, so what do I want to add? Let me say I want to make I want to add Paul. Let me say Paul to, sorry, I want to add Paul to this container, to this list of items in that container. So if I run it, okay, let me run it. Okay, we're having an error. So what is the problem? Let's look at it. What is actually the problem first? Okay, you can see I wrote tuple, sorry. So this is supposed to be list. Okay, so if I run it, you can see it throws an error. So if I want to display it to be sure that what I added, right, so I just indicate, you can see Paul has been added. You can see, all right. So we'll move ahead. You can see that you can modify a list. You can add as many items or elements as you want by using the append function. Now we can also make another modification. Now in this case, we are going to be removing. Modification are in two ways. You are either removing or you are adding. Okay, so let me comment remove so that whoever is reading my code will know I'm removing item here. Remove item. Okay, so now what do? We say we still call the variable name, the exact variable name that is contained in a list, because here we are dealing with a list. Okay, so what I do is I use the remove function. So whenever you're applying a function to a variable that is holding a list of items, please don't forget this dot. Okay, so now whatever you want to remove, you indicate it here. Okay, so in this case I want to remove, let me say I want to remove a mark or whatever. Let's not do with mark again. Let's say I want to remove this 23.6. okay, I'll have to indicate it. Okay, I'll have to indicate it. So or whatever. Okay, let's say we are removing 23.6. so because it's a number, so numeric values are not enclosed inside. So if I want to remove it, I run it. Okay, now let me prove that it actually worked. So let me call my variable name. You can call, there are so many ways of outputting. You can write print, please. There are two ways. You can write print, then enclose it and run. Okay, you can see that 23.6 has been outputted. Okay, there's another way we can the normal way we have been applying and to display our result. Please, you can use the print function. You can also just call the name, because this is how one of the reasons why I love Jupyter Notebook. So this is it. You can see still maintained. 23.6 was removed. So what I did here, I'm just showing you that there are several ways of outputting your result. Now you can also remove anything, both mark, just specify the particular thing you are removing inside the remove function. Okay, so we can still say first list, because that's what we want to remove something from. So just say dot remove. You can see programming is easy. So just say, I can just say mark. No, mark is a string, so that's why I'm enclosing it. So let me prove that that was correct. So what I do is I say this. Okay, you can see that mark has been removed. So you can see we have a lot that we can do with list. Now if you want to access and remove list data using the element indices or the index number of any element, you can do that. You can access it. Now let's there's a way, there's something we do. There's this, we use pop. Pop is a function. Pop, when you talk about pop, you are popping something up. Okay, so you can use the pop. Now like when you have an incoming message, the message pops up, so you see it. So we can apply pop. Okay, this is another way of accessing and removing list data. Okay, so we just say, let me say let me remove 11. So having an index number of 2 is 0, 1, 2. So I just say 2. Okay, sorry, I just apply the function pop. So I just say 2. Okay, if I run it, you see 11 has been popped up. So this is used to, let me comment on it, whenever you are going through it, you know what we did. You can use this to access and remove list data. Okay, so just for better understanding, so using, sorry, let me be clear, using element indices. Okay, so this is how this thing works. So then we can do so many things. We can also, there's another way of modifying a list. We can insert a new item at a certain index. Now when you are doing the append, when we did the append, you know that whenever you do append, a new data comes from behind. It's just like you're in a single file, maybe in an assembly ground. Whoever joins the line, or you are in a line to collect something, whoever joins the line is always joined from behind, because that's the other way of doing things. In this case, if you are appending also in the list, the thing you are adding comes from behind. Now we can actually, Python has given us this opportunity, and list has this function that you can insert in a particular position. Okay, maybe you want a certain item, you forgot, you want it to be in a particular position, you can also do that. Okay, how do we do that? Let's say still we are still dealing with this variable container list, first list. So the way to add is just to apply the insert function. So if you apply the insert function, you see insert, you can see insert we'll say Smith. Okay, let's insert Smith. And why? What are we doing? We are inserting this name Smith. Sorry, this somebody's name is a noun, so it's a capital letter. Smith, we are inserting it in the place of index value 1. So whatever is occupying that index value 1 will shift and Smith will take over. So let's see how this is done. So it didn't throw us an error. So let me view my container again and see. So you see, Smith has taken the position of 1, index number 1. So you can do that, you can modify it, you can play with it. Okay, So and another thing we are going to be looking, I think this is the last thing we'll be looking at in the list data structure, is slicing. Let's put this in a and if you want to do you want to make this a comment, you can just hold your control then backslash to just change it instead of going to do shift 3. All right, so let's see. We'll come here. I want to make it a heading. So sorry, I forgot to write something. Slicing lists. So I'm just making this a heading. So I run, so you can see it's bold. Okay, so what do we do now? This is similar to a tuple. You can also slice list through indices. All right, so the same thing we did. Let me just bring our container here. Let's view it. So as we're working with it, we'll be seeing it. Okay, so now you know the rules. You specify the index of the element and you separate them by column. Now the first index is inclusive, the second index is exclusive. So let's say I want to get only Smith. Okay, 100 and Smith. Okay, what I do is I just write the variable name list. Okay, then put my square bracket, so I know it's 0 to, instead of writing 1, because I want 100 and leave Smith, I will have to shift it. Let's see. So you can see. All right, so this is how we do slicing. We can also, maybe I want Smith to pour to be outputted. I'll just say first list, then just say Smith is 1. Okay, then I think pour is 3, so I'll just do 4 and pour we are outputted. You can see. All right, so this is everything about list you need to know. We can also do other things. We can also access from behind. Let's see how we can do that. We can also access from behind. You can see, you can just put this and say -2. Sorry, why are we not having anything outputted? Sorry. This is strange. First list. Let's say minus. Okay, why -2 didn't work? Because it's none. None is nothing. Okay, I think yes. This is -1. This is -2, so that's why it didn't work. So let's try -1. Told you none is empty. You can see. So I think that proves what I was trying to say. So you can also slice by using a, okay, let's say we want 1 to -1. That's the full. This is 1, the none. Okay, let's say to -1. This is -1, so I want them to come out. You see, 1 to -1. -1 is not inclusive, so let's shift it. You can see. So these are actually what happened. So -1 is not inclusive. You can see we can apply. -1 is poor, so it's not inclusive. So that is that. Okay, now next class we'll be looking at dictionary. We'll be looking at another data structure which is called dictionary, and we say dictionary stores a mapping between a set of keys and a set of values. Okay, now unlike the previous ones we've talked about, the tuple, the list, and dictionary on its part can be modified, can be viewed, and can be looked up and we can also delete dictionary. Now you can view the keys and the value in the dictionary either separately or together using the syntax that I'll be showing you. Okay, now let's start with something. Let's define our, let's say first date. Okay, let's say this is our variable name, first date. Then I'll say defining that what we're doing here, we're trying to create our first dictionary. So let me comment on it. Create dictionary. Let's also create it. Okay, that's the short form for dictionary. So in dictionary there's a parenthesis. We use the specific parenthesis for dictionaries. We use the curly bracket. Okay, like for the tuple we have the curve bracket, the list we have the square bracket. For dictionary we make use of the curly bracket. Okay, so we start by, we say dictionary is key to value mapping. Okay, we first of all define the key, then we define the value, and this key and value are separated by a column. Okay, so now let's say for instance we are saying Abel, then you see a column there. Come and say let's say Abel. Okay, let's give it a value, Abel at abc.com. okay, let's say we are assigning different individuals, we are giving them, we are assigning their email address to their name. Okay, so we separate it by comma. Okay, the key to value mapping for each stuff, we separate them by comma. So I think what I will do here is, since I've given the Abel, then let me define another person's name. Let's say Sarah, then we'll separate it, give it its value, Sarah at SYZ. Okay, so we can still say comma. So maybe we want to define let's say the ID. Okay, so let's give it an ID. Now mind you, the value for a dictionary can be any of the data structure, can be list, can be tuple, can be whatever, but let it just follow the path, let it follow the structure, which is key to value mapping. Okay, so I can have something like this, 24 comma 45. Okay, let's say this is the ID of each of them. So what I'll do now is, since I've created it, let me say view. Let me view the entire dictionary I've created. Okay, view the entire dictionary. So I'll come down here. How do we view it? If you want to output anything on Jupyter Notebook, just call on the variable name, or say print, then call the variable name. Okay, so I'll just say print it. Now you can see it. Another way of calling it out, of outputting it, is to say print first date, which is the variable name that is holding that value. You can see it will still be outputted. Now, having done that, we'll see how we can view only the keys, okay, in the dictionary. So what I'll do is I'll copy this. So let's say view only the keys. How can we view only the keys? So I'll just say this variable name first date, which is holding the values, then I will just say dot keys. Okay, so if I run it, you can see these are the keys. Abel is the key for this value, Sarah is the key for this value, ID is the key for this value. Now you can see, now we can also do another thing. We can also view only the values. Okay, can also view only the values. Sorry, values. So coming down here, I can still paste this. Why I'm always using the variable name is that it is what is holding the value we have here, everything, the entire dictionary we created. So you must always call it now to do an operation, to carry out an operation on it. Okay, so I will use the value function. Okay, value function to view only the values. Now you can see these are the values. Abel, the value for Abel is abel at abc.com. Value for Sarah is Sarah at SYZ. Then you see the value for ID is 24,45. Okay, so that is that. Now we can also see how we can access. Let's see how we can access sorry. Let's see how we can access and modify the element. Okay, and modify. So we can access and modify the element. How can we do that? Number one, first we'll start by accessing with the keys. We can see how we can access the dictionary keys. I'll call the dictionary name, the variable name we give it. So how do I access a particular element or a particular item in a dictionary that I've created, that I've initialized? What do? I'll just the way to access it is by using the square bracket. Then which one do I want to access? Maybe I want to access the information of Abel. Okay, it may be that Abel might be having multiple informations, but in this case we're just giving the necessary values or informations to be their email and their ID. Okay, so if I want to access the information of Abel using the key to access it, I'll just say inside here we'll have Abel. So when I run it, you can see we're having Abel at abc.com. You can see. So I think we can also do that for the rest. We can also do that for ID. Can also access it. You can see. So once you want to access a particular element, you can access it with a key. Okay, so let's see if dictionary can be modified. Like in the case of tuple, we saw that tuple we could not modify tuple and we proved it. And for list can be modified, they are mutable. But for dictionary, let's confirm, because at the beginning of the class I said that dictionary can be modified. So let's prove that if it's true. So let's say call the variable name and we say, let's see if we can update using the update function. Can update our dictionary. Okay, inside it we still have to put a square bracket. Yes, then let's say ID. Maybe I want to update the ID. Then the ID we define is in a list. Okay, so let me see if I can change it to 54,13. Okay, initially it was 24,45. Okay, so let's see, maybe I want to do changes to, sometimes in a company or in an organization, people are given privileges to actually alter some documents, maybe due to changes of the employer, changes of some document. So now in this case, let's see if it can be possible. Maybe the ID of Abel and Sarah has been changed due to some factors. So let's see if that is possible. So if I run this and it didn't throw us an error, so let me call the variable name. Let me output it and see. Okay, you can see it has been modified here, 5413. Okay, so I think dictionary can be modified. We have proven it here. Okay, so let's see if we can also modify it in the sense of deleting an item. Okay, so let's see. Let's say delete an item in the dictionary. So let's see. I'll just call the variable name. Okay, before I do that, I think the way to do it is say delete this delete attribute. You can see it's having a different color from delete, so that's how we delete. So what I do is I have to specify the key, okay, the value I want to delete. Okay, maybe I want to delete the ID. Okay, I don't want to see the ID on my dictionary, so I can just erase everything about the ID. Or maybe I want to delete every information about Sarah. Maybe Sarah have left the organization, has left the company, so I can just delete every information about Sarah. Okay, so let's see how this can be done. So okay, it's throwing us an error. Let's see why. Okay, you see okay, Sarah, this is supposed to be a capital letter. Okay, now you see where this comes from. Now whenever you are you initialize a particular value or a variable, you have to make sure that whenever you are calling it, whenever you want to make reference to it, make sure that you define it the way it has been defined already. Okay, because Python is a case sensitive programming language. So let's see. So I've made that changes, I've corrected. So let's see. Then let's view it to confirm. You see the information of Sarah has been erased from the dictionary. So that is how we can modify and access elements in a dictionary. So we can also move to set. Let's see how we can do that of set. Okay, let me see set. Let me specify here data structure set. Okay, let's make it a header. Okay, now what a set is another data structure. I mentioned it earlier when I was giving us the different data structures in Python. So a set is an unordered collection of unique elements. It doesn't matter the order in which it's given or in which it's defined. So it is an unordered collection of unique elements. Okay, now let's see how we can create our first set. Let's see, create set. Okay, now I believe this is not the first time we're hearing of a set, but if this is your first time of hearing of set, I want to make references to our mathematics in a junior secondary school and I think primary education, where we did set. Even in further maths we did set. We say set is a collection of different elements. Okay, so of different elements, I think of the same value. Okay, all right, or of the same data type. Now let's create our first set. Let's say let me say items in store. Let's see. So in creating a set, I just write set, then this. Okay, when you see a particular data structure having a bracket, it means that everything that is inside that bracket will actually be converted to that type of data structure. Okay, so set, in this case, we will define a set. So let's see. I want to give an item, or let's say, let me change this to let me change this to cars. I think that will be easy for us. So let's say we have BMW, we have Ford, we have Camry. So each of them are separated by comma. Still the same thing applies to all the data structures. So let's say Mercedes. So let's say Chevrolet. Okay, this is okay. So I've defined my first set. So if I run this, didn't throw me an error, so I just output it. How do I view it? Now you can see what we've defined, what we've initialized. Okay, so let's see what next. So there's another way also for creating a set also. This is not the only way. Let's see the other way we can create a set. Okay, create a set. We can also create a set. Let's say stick cars. Let's see cars. Oh, let me just name these automobile, so that you know that we can also do it in another way. So you can actually give it whatever variable name you want, but I'm always giving it a variable name that matches what I'm doing, so that whoever sees my code will know, yeah, this guy is very intelligent, knows what he or she is doing. Okay, now I have written this. So the next thing to do is let's say I use my square bracket. That's another way of creating a set. So let me pick this, let me copy this and put it in here. Let me paste it here. So I have that. So if I actually, let's run it. Okay, so let's check the type. What type, so that we will not be confused. So we're checking the type. So you know the type function is used to check the type of data structure, or the type of anything. Okay, what that thing you've created belong to. So we created a set in another format. So let me copy it and put it here, so that this type function will vet it to see what we've created. You see, it's a set. Mind you, it's using the same parentheses with the dictionary. Now the difference is that the dictionary comes with a key to value mapping, but in this case set doesn't. Okay, so you can see the type is a set. Okay, so we move ahead. So the next thing we do is, there are some operations in set data structures. So let's look at those operations. Okay, so let's see set operation. So set operations. So I'll just make this a header, blah. Okay, so now let us look at some of the set operations. We will have to define a set. So let me come here. Sorry, I'm picking this. Copy. Okay, let me paste it here. Let's see. Let me call this car 1. Okay, then I paste it again. Let me call it car 2, and I will do some some things here. So let me change this car 2. Let me change this to Ferrari. So for this, I can change this to let's change it to Kai. Okay, so I can also add something here to be, let's say GM. Okay, So I think we have this. So we've created our set. So let me comment here. Always comment on your code. It's very ideal for a good programmer. Okay, so that whoever comes to look at your code will know what you've written, what you've done on it. So now I've created my set that I want to apply some operations on it. Let's see. Let me just give the variable name combined cars. Okay, that's the variable name I'm giving to it. I want to actually apply the OR operation on it. Okay, so let's see. One of the operations I'm applying here is the OR. Or you can also still call it union set operation. Okay, so what the OR operation does is it adds, that is, it's a union. It adds everything together in both cells and give you a single set. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So I'll just call the first car, the car 1. Then you apply this this sign is called the OR sign. It's used to combine things. Okay, so it's like a union. Okay, so let's see, let's call the car 2. So if I run this, then I have to go and call this, copy, let's paste it here. You see, everything in both sets has been outputted there. Okay, now there's something that happened there. You see this BMW, we have it here. We also have BMW here. We also have Mercedes here. We have Mercedes here. We have Chevrolet. We have Chevrolet here also. Now you can see that you were expecting it to appear BMW twice and Mercedes twice, Chevrolet twice. Okay, but that's not the case. That's why I actually took us back to mathematics in junior secondary school, where we did set. In that case, whenever you're having two similar values on different sets and you are doing a union operation on it, you don't have to expect it to bring out it in the same format. You have to just pick one of it. Okay, so that's how the set operation for union works. Okay, so now we have seen it, so we'll go further to look at what we have. Okay, let's look at the in operation. Now in this case we are looking at some, okay, no, let's look at the AND operation. The AND operation, in this case we can also call it intercept set operation. Okay, intercept set operation. So how do this work? The intercept set operation, we can apply it on these cars we have defined already. So let's say what do we give this? Okay, let's give it a combined, let's say combined report. Okay, so in applying this, we say car 1, copy it, paste it here. Then now the sign for the AND operation is this ampersand sign. So we have it here. So we just say car 2. Okay, so this is the sign that we use for the AND operation for the intercept. Okay, so let's run it. Didn't throw us an error, so I'll just pick this, copy, paste it here. If I run this, you can see now it gives us the intercept of both sets. Now intercept in this case, what does intercept mean? you carrying the values that you can be found in the first set that are also found in the second set. Okay, so the intercept, you can see BMW is the first set, the second set also. We have Mercedes at the first set, the second set also. We have Chevrolet in the first set and also the second set as well. That's why you can see them here. All right, so I think that is that. Okay, now let's carry on some basic operator. Okay, let's look at some basic operators. We have okay, let's start with basic operator in is an operator. Okay, in, let's put it in. Okay, now we have this. All right, what I will do here is the in operator is actually used to create a boolean value to indicate whether a given value is found in a container, okay, or not. You will check, it's used to check if something is found in a particular placeholder. All right, now let's see how we can prove this. Let's create a student list. Let's say student names. Okay, so what we do now is this is a list, so we can say Amaka, Kelechi, John, Kelly. So I have these names here, so we can check if a particular name is in this list or not. Okay, so let me run this so that Python will know, we initialize it, that we have actually created a list like that. So don't forget, whenever you write a code on a particular cell in Jupyter Notebook, make sure you execute it. Okay, so now I want to check if there's any name like this is a string, so if there's any name like Gabriel, maybe you're having a list of 1,000 of names and you cannot factor if you actually wrote the name before or not. So you can see, is Gabriel actually in this list of students that I defined with this variable name called student name? So you make references to the student name, the variable name of the container. So I will check. If I run this now, you see it tells me false, that Gabriel cannot be found on this list, and it's true. You can see it vividly that Gabriel is not found in this list. So we can also check for a name that is found there. Let's say Kelechi. You can say is Kelechi in student name, in that name. So let's run it. You see it's showing us true. Now there's a way you can actually, you write it and you get an error. Now if I write Kelechi, start with small letter instead of the capital letter I use in defining it here. So if I run it, it will give me false because I didn't actually give the exact case of the letter. So you see, to throw it, don't think Kelechi. So the way you define it, that's the way you have to state it for you to search it. So you can see it's true. So told you Python is actually case sensitive. So we move ahead. We can also look at it in a string. Okay, you can say let's define a word. Let's call it Wikipedia. I can put it as a string, so just put it, close it in quotation. So if I run this, let me search for a word there. Let's say is T in that in this container which is bearing the name word. Okay, let's see. No, T is not there. So let's look for a letter that is there. Let's say P in word. Yes, true, P is there. T is not there, but P is there. So you can see how these things work. So that is that for the in operator. We can also look for another operator called the plus operator. Okay, let's say basic operator plus. Okay, so let me make it a heading here. Okay, so looking at that, the plus operator produces actually a new tuple. Yes, it gives us a new tuple. Now it gives us a new tuple, list or string, okay, whose value is the concatenation of its argument. So let's see. So the plus operator produces a new tuple, list or string whose value is the concatenation of its argument. So we will create a tuple, let's say test 1. Let's say the root test, and the first test is having 50. Okay, so let's see. They have a second test that was written and having okay, so you see. Now let's run this. Let's see how we can apply the plus operator. We can say total score is equals to test 1, then apply the plus operator here with test 2. So let's run this. Let's call the total score. Total score is now having the answer to the test 1 plus test 2. Okay, so that's why let's output it to see what it will give us. You can see, yeah, so it's having a result. So now let's say 56, 78, 86, 45, 34, 87. Okay, you can see all the scores has been combined together. So I said that the plus operator produces a new tuple, list or string whose value is the concatenation of its argument. Concatenation means the joining, the combination. Okay, so that's that. So we look at how we can also do that on the list, and we'll do that on the string too. All right, so let's see. Let's say country, let's say African country. Then we'll just say equals to okay, let's say let's put a list here so we can apply a list on it. So let's say Nigeria, Cameroon. Okay, let's say Ghana. Let's say Congo. I think that's okay. So we also define European countries. We have France, France, we have Portugal, we have England, I think it's okay. So let's run this. Let's say, let's give the variable name combine. Let's join. Let's see how we can do that. Undo. Let's say copy. Let's paste it here. Then apply the plus operator on it. Then come here, say copy. Then we paste it. Then we'll call it the variable name combine. What's happening was the error for name combine. Okay, it's not defined, so always I put what you've defined, so you can see it here. So that is that. Let's see how we can also do that for strings. Okay, let's say first name Gabriel. So this is for string. Let's say my first name is Gabriel. Okay, then we do that for last name. Okay, my last name is Simeon. It should be enclosed because this is a string. Okay, so we run it, we've defined it, it didn't throw us an error. So what we do next is let's say full name is equals to first name plus last name, copy, paste. So if I run it, so let me call the full name to actually see what we got. Okay, you can see our string is Gabriel Simeon. There's no space in between. Now to create a space in between, we have to apply the quotation. Okay, this is how to do it. If you want a space in between, you can put the quotation, either single or double quote. Then after it here, you apply the plus sign, because he's saying that first name, this plus sign is actually used to concatenate, to join things. So you say first name plus empty space plus last name. Okay, so if I run it again, run this, you see there's a space in between now. Okay, so now lastly we're going to be looking at another basic operator, which is the multiplication operator. Okay, let's see the multiplication operator. Let's make it the heading. So if we make this a heading, we run it, and okay, let's see, we can say the multiplication operator produces a new tuple, list, or string that repeats the original content. Okay, so whatever you use the multiplication operator for, you get according to how the number you are multiplying it with. Let's say I'm having age of people. Let's say 3 people. I'm having their age, let's say 17, let's say 30. Okay, so if I do this, apply the multiplication operator. Let me say I apply 4. I run it. Then I just come here, say age. Now remember, you say age is equals to this multiply by 4. So that means it will be multiplied 4 times. See, this is the first one: 12, 17, 31, 12, 17, 32, 12, 17, 33, 12, 17, 30, the fourth one. So you can see it. So it actually replicates the original content. So well, we've applied it on the tuple. So let's see how we can apply it on a list as well, if that is possible. So let's say, let me say ID let's get the list of ID. Let's say this. Okay, so sorry, I'm gonna multiply it by 2. So if I come here, if I say ID, you can see the first one, the second one. You can see. You can also do that for string value too. So let's say let me say name Kelly. Okay, so I'm multiplying it by 3. So if I run it, apply the name here, so you can see it. So that is that for data structure in Python. So thank you very much. You can refer to other of my videos that I did. You can check in the description below.